Well, Toronto, in losing out in your second round series and getting almost swept by the Florida Panthers, not only had you screwed over your fan base because now people are going to have to deal with everybody memeing on the Maple Leafs again, but you also screwed over the Habs. Now, this isn't a surprise. We had made a video about this a few days ago, asking Canadiens fans the question, who are you cheering for in this second round series? Do you want to go for the Florida Panthers because you want to see Toronto lose, or are you going for Toronto to win because you care about that Florida first from the Ben Sherratt trade all those months ago? Well, we have our results now. It happened a few days ago. It happened 2 days ago now? Yeah, exactly. So we kind of have an idea as to where this Canadiens first is going to be. Technically, Florida Panthers first, but just belonging to the Canadiens. And because the Florida Panthers have made the Final Four, they went from the wildcard team, the last wildcard team, going up against the first overall team in the NHL's regular season history books in Boston, to the Final Four. And because of this, if you go over to Tankathon and you see where this Florida Panthers first round pick is, it is now in the 29, 31, or 32 range. This cannot be 30th overall. The Florida Panthers finished off the regular season with a worse record than all the remaining teams in the Western Conference, so Seattle, Dallas, Edmonton, and Vegas. No matter who finds themselves in the Final Four on the Western Conference, Florida will have a worse record than all of them, but of course, if the Florida Panthers win against the Carolina Hurricanes, they make the Stanley Cup Finals, which means they're either going to draft 31st if they lose in the Finals, or 32nd if they win in the Finals. This pick was 17th overall back at the start of this entire postseason run because the Panthers were the worst team on paper to make the playoffs. They had the worst record. 92 points was barely enough to squeak into the wild card there and make things happen. And this is sort of where the funny parts of this conversation open themselves up, because I saw a lot of Canadiens fans saying, yeah, okay, the Florida Panthers won, which means that their draft pick is now lower for us. It's not a good thing, but I guess you could say it's sort of a good thing if Toronto was getting eliminated. But the other part of this conversation is that the Montreal Canadiens kind of screwed themselves over with this process. Here's the post on the Canadiens subreddit posted by Flippine44. With the Panthers beating the Leafs in 5, their first round pick, who belongs to the Habs, jumps from 17 to 29. Seb Nation replies saying this: just one gosh darn win against us would have locked us the 13th overall pick. Okay, I'm not going to read that last part, but that essentially is the case over here. Let's go over to the Canadiens versus Panthers record from this season. Let's do that here. So, the Florida Panthers and the Canadiens played themselves off in a few games this season, and the Canadiens lost all of them. And these were all pretty whack games. I think most people remember just the goaltending situation coming in there. I mean, wasn't really all too great. The Canadiens had 4 games against the Florida Panthers, and they were 0-4-0. And these were all pretty bad games, too. First game of the season between Florida and Montreal, it was December 29th, the Panthers won 7-2. Second game was January 19th, the Panthers won 6-2. Third game was March 16th, the Panthers won 9-5. Yeah, that was the crazy 9-5 game. I think a lot of people still kind of remember that one because that's kind of fresh. And then on March 30th, the Panthers beat the Canadiens 5-2. Had the Canadiens won just one of these games, the Florida Panthers would not have had the 92 points they had. They would have had 90 points instead, and the Pittsburgh Penguins would have been given that final wild card spot. So for the Canadiens, you're seeing people on the subreddit saying things like this: if we had just won one game against the Florida Panthers, it would have given us the 13th overall pick because the Panthers would have made the playoffs, and therefore, that pick would have been somewhere outside the playoff contender picks. Glorious G replies saying, but we would have passed Arizona. Seb Nation says, bruh, I'd trade the 5th overall pick and 29, 31, or 32 for 6 and 13 any day of the week. And that philosophy definitely makes sense from a team management point of view. Sure, you drop down one spot from 5 to 6, you're still taking a player that is probably going to be pretty good. Matvei Michkov, the guy everybody's talking about, might still be available at that spot. Even if it's not Matvei Michkov, you miss out on a Will Smith, you're kind of forced to take a Dvorsky instead, you're still getting yourselves a very valuable pickup at 6th overall compared to 5th. It's just the benefit of going from 29, 31, or 32nd overall to 13 is a pretty big jump, and we've seen articles been published recently talking about the differences and how much a pick is worth at the first half of the first round versus the second half of the first round towards the end of the first round. It's quite tremendous, especially when you look at the historical data of players that have been drafted around these areas in the draft. It doesn't take a genius to say that 13th overall is so much more of a valuable pick than 29th or 31st or 32nd. But then you have yourselves after this exchange on the Canadian sub. JamJam130 says, I'll take 5 and 29 and guarantee the Bruins and Leafs lose embarrassingly. Green B then says, yeah, this is the only answer from a true Habs fan. Make it 5 and 31-32 and screw Justin Williams and the Hurricanes. And that is sort of where the pride settles in. Because I know a lot of Canadiens fans in the last video said, hey, we don't care about the pick. Like, sure, it helps us. Definitely. It's a meaningful part of our organizational makeup when you talk about our draft picks, but I care more so about the Leafs losing. I care more so about the Bruins losing. I care more so about other teams' fan bases not getting what they want because I am salty like that. And no hard feelings, for sure. Sports are like that. Sports fans are like that. You're entitled to feeling pleasure out of the suffering and misery of other fan bases. It happens, but at the end of the day, this is sort of the conversation we gotta have, because the Canadiens, best case scenario in terms of the actual teams that are in, I mean, this might be it. Toronto and Boston both losing, Florida making it this far. I don't think anybody in Canadiens land cares too much that Florida is the team going out there and winning. Aside, of course, from the conversations about the draft pick, just Florida as a team, who cares? I mean, it's Florida. Boston, though? Toronto, though? Justin Williams and the Hurricanes, though? Yeah, I could definitely understand why you're going out there and saying you want these teams / players to do poorly. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below about the Canadiens' first-round pick from the Florida Panthers going from 17th overall to one of 29th, 31st, or 32nd overall. These are the 3 options it could be now, and it's a pretty steep and big drop-off from 17th, which it was like a few weeks ago when a lot of people were saying the Panthers are going to lose to the Bruins in the first round. So, thoughts in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.